Namo Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we were talking about Narottama Das Thakur yesterday. It was his appearance day, two days ago. So we didn't quite finish his wonderful life in time. So we thought carry on today. It was on the full moon day in the month of Kartik that Narottama Das Thakur left his family behind. So if you recall, he was born in a family of kings or princes, and his father very wealthy, but he was not, Narottama was not attached to any of this wealth. In fact, he received the personification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love through the Padma River in Bangladesh. So he's extremely fortunate soul. Anyway, after some time, he decided to leave, or in fact, he was instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to leave his home for Vrindavan, which he did on this full moon day in the month of Kartik. Passing through Bengal in a short time, he soon found himself on the road to Mathura. All the other pilgrims he would meet were very affectionate towards Narottama, as they could recognize him as the son of a king. He would sometimes live by drinking milk and sometimes would eat the roots and fruits as he went along. His constant hankering to see Vrindavan made his hunger and thirst go away. However, after 3 days, his soft royal feet began to blister. And at one point, due to exhaustion, he lost consciousness. When he was in that exhausted state, Gauranga appeared to him in the form of a golden-skinned Brahmin, supplying him a pot of milk to drink, because he hadn't drunk. So this is the Lord's mercy came to give him something to have, nourish himself. Not recognizing the Brahmin as Gauranga, Narottama merely fell asleep, submitting once again to exhaustion. As he slept, Rupa Goswami appeared to him in a dream and informed him that Gauranga had brought him that milk for him personally. He should drink it and proceed on to Vrindavan. This gave Narottama great assurance and enthusiasm. Can you imagine? The Lord himself came to give Narottama a pot of milk. Before leaving the area, however, his father had sent scouts to search for him. They found him. However, with his sweet words, he convinced the guards to let him go on his way. And one of the guards even offered him money for his expenses. As he moved from place to place, he would hear the glories of Gaura and Nityananda from the mouths of many devotees. In this way, he was always thinking about their lotus feet, constantly absorbed in meditation. As he walked and he walked, he prayed to the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu, as he has written. He's a fantastic songwriter and obviously a devotee, but he wrote amazing bhajans, which Karuna has sung, I think all of them. Very fortunate for us. Ara Kabe Nitai Chand. When will Nityananda show his mercy to me and free me from this world of birth and death? By his mercy, one may give up material enjoyment and purify his mind. In this way, by the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, one can attain Vrindavan. In this way, walking and walking, Narottama Das arrived in Mathura, and seeing the Yamuna, he offered many prayers. Remembering the names of the 6 Goswamis headed by Sri Rupa and Sanatana, he began to weep in ecstasy. Gradually, he came to Vrindavan itself and entered into that holy land. Upon reaching Vrindavan, he came upon the magnificent Radha Govindji temple built by Rupa Goswami. The Vaishnavas immediately informed Sri Jiva Goswami of a newly arrived effulgent personality who was showing all the ecstatic symptoms of love of Godhead. Jiva Goswami understood that this was Narottama, and together with the other great saints, greeted young Narottama. Jiva Goswami requested Narottama to serve the lotus feet of Lokanath Goswami. Now, previously, Jiva Goswami had the association of Krishnadas Kaviraj, great soul. Now he's got the associate Jiva Goswami. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said to him that your spiritual master is going to be Lokanath Goswami, who was very old and so deeply agonized by the pain of separation from Chaitanya. It was as if his very life had been taken away. Narottam offered his obeisances to the lotus feet of Lokanath Maharaj Goswami and asked him, and Lokanath Goswami asked him, who are you? Narottam Das said, I am your fallen servant. I wish to serve your lotus feet. Lokanath replied, how can I, who am unable to serve Gaura Nityananda, accept any service? Lokanath Goswami asked Narottam to constantly chant for a year, which he did. But still, Lokanath would not initiate Narottam. So Lokanath Goswami is very, very humble. And he just wouldn't give shelter to Narottam. Narottam would secretly go in the middle of the night to the place where Lokanath Maharaj would pass stool and urine and cleanse the area, maintaining everything there very nicely. After a year of serving in this way, Lokanath Goswami realized that Narottam was engaged in this humble service, and with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's encouragement in a dream, bestowed his mercy upon Narottama Das. So on the full moon day of the month of Shravan, he initiated Narottama Das Thakur as his disciple. Narottam excelled in spiritual practice. One day he dreamt that divine Vaishnavi, a divine Vaishnavi, asked him to serve under Gopi Champaklata and make special milk for the divine couple. When he woke, he immediately ran to his guru, who confirmed that the divine person was Radha herself, informing Narottam of his eternal sweet service. So Narottam would often go into trance and boil milk, which sometimes would boil over, and he would use his bare hands to stop the overflow. When he would come out of trance, his hands would be scorched. His meditation was very effective. So this is really powerful. By the order of his guru, Narottam would study the Goswami's scriptures under the guidance of Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami was the foremost of the Goswamis after Rupa and Sanatan left. So he had many students under him and some very bright students. Srinivas Acharya was his dear friend, and the two of them used to study together. At that time, Shyamananda Prabhu arrived from Gauradash. So these two, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda, they and Narottam, three of them, became good friends, very good friends. Shyamananda also was studying Goswami scripture under the guidance of Jiva Goswami. So all three of them were under the guidance of Jiva Goswami. With one mind, they performed their bhajan in Vrindavan. And one day, Jiva Goswami called the three of them and said, in the future, you must preach the message of Srimad Mahaprabhu far and wide. Taking the literatures of the Goswamis, you must quickly go to Bengal and begin preaching. All of them gave up their residence in Vrindavan, accepted the order of Jiva Goswami on their heads. So what did they do? They took the treasured scriptures of the Goswamis in a cart with men and bulls, and they started on a journey, huge, long journey to Bengal. These are the three of them, Shyamananda, Srinivas, and Narottama Das Thakur. And Jiva Goswami, he gave them enough money to pay the tolls and whatever else they had to, because they had to deliver these books long way away. But something happened on the way. When they came to this place, Vana Vishnupur, the king was a dacoit, actually. His name was Sri Birhambir. And he got his people to steal these manuscripts. He didn't know that there were manuscripts. They thought that this was gold or money because it was protected by quite a few people. And the books were sort of in a strong cupboard or strong box. So they thought this is valuables. And of course, they didn't know how valuable, because the scriptures are the most valuable thing. Anyway, they stole these scriptures, and the three of them, Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamana, was shocked. They were just didn't know what to do. Anyway, Shyamananda went to Utkala, which is like his home place. Narottam went to Keturigram, which is his home place. And Srinivas, he stayed behind, and he wanted to, he worked out how to rescue these books, because they had to do some things. They couldn't just stay in one place, all of them. So Srinivas stayed behind. Narottam went to Keturi in order to see the holy birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also went to Navadvip. Now, Navadvip is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born. And at the house of Jagannath Mishra, he met Ishan Thakur, who was the elderly servant of Shachi Devi. At the house of Srinivas Pandit, he met Shripati and Srinidhi Pandit. After meeting Shukrambar Brahmachari and Damodar Pandit, he went to Shantipur and met the eldest son of Advaita, whose name was Achyutananda. So he met a lot of amazing personalities. At Ambika Kalna, he met Radha Chaitanya. He went on to the place where Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati meet, a village called Saptagram. In that place, Narottama Das Thakur introduced him to Janava Mata and Vasudha, and they bestowed their mercy upon him. Now, Janava and Vasudha are the dear consorts of Nityananda. So he was really fortunate. Then he left for the town of Kanakul, Krishnanagar, to see the place of Abhiram Gopal Thakur. Then he went to Jagannath Puri and he met Gopinath. Went to the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur. And after this, he went to the house of Gadadhar Pandit. And he would shout on top of his lungs, "Oh, life and soul of Gauranga, oh Gadadhar." Thereafter, he took darshan of Tota Gopinath deity, very beautiful deity in Jagannath Puri, and offered his respects at the lotus feet of Goswami Thakur, who was at that time engaged in service of Gopinath. He visited the house of Kashi Mishra, Jagannath, and Gundicha, Jagannath Vallabh Gardens, Narendra Sarovar, many places in Jagannath Puri. Then he left for Nrsinghapur, place of Shyamananda Prabhu. Then he came to Srikhanda and met Narahari Sarakar Thakur and Sri Raghunandan. So he really did an incredible pilgrimage. He went on to Kantak Nagar, to the house of Gadadhar Das Thakur. And then Narottam went to Ekachakra to visit the holy place of Nityananda's birth. And there an old Brahmin who was affectionately disposed towards Narottam showed him the different holy places where Nityananda performed his Leela. Finally, he went to Keturigram, his birthplace. As the Bhakti Ratnakar says, upon his arrival, all the people of the village wanted to be first to meet him. His father, Krishnananda, and Purushottam Datta, the uncle of Narottam, had already passed away. So Purushottam's son, Santosh Datta, was the foremost of saintly persons in the village. All the people were very happy to see their Narottam. He could see that they were ready to receive the mercy of Krishna. So this was huge, because he initiated that cousin of his, Santosh, and 123 other disciples. And his guru, Lokanath Das Goswami, wrote to him to establish deity worship. And they did that. They built a big temple with storehouse of food, kirtan hall, residence hall, ashrams. for devotees, bathing pond, beautiful flower garden, guest house. And on the full moon day of Phalgun, on the festival day of Mahaprabhu's appearance, this was the first Go Punim festival. The temple was opened. Many deities were installed in a great festival, which can only be compared to the Rajasu Yajna of Yudhishthira, was celebrated for many miles around. This was the first Gopunim festival. Messengers were sent for miles around Keturigram to invite illustrious guests, and preparations were made to install 6 deities at one time. Devotees began to arrive from all over the country to Keturigram, and Santosh, his cousin, arranged a colossal boat to carry everyone across this river. And then on the other side, there were palanquins, and it was a huge event. Devotees were offered flower garlands and received with great affection. The Sankirtan of those great souls created a thunderous sound that filled the heavens. It must have been the most amazing reunion between the devotees. The gates of the temple, the doors of the houses were all well decorated with banana leaves, water pots, auspicious things like mango leaves, small water pots decorated with auspicious signs, different kinds of flowers. All the big gateways and ornamental arches in the city, as well as all the doors of all the houses, were decorated with colorful, auspicious symbols like swastikas and 6-pointed stars. So it was one tremendous celebrations, festival, opening of the temple, installing of the deities, and he had the assistance of amazing personalities. Sri Janava Mata, the consort of Lord Nityananda herself, came and did the final preparations for the installation of the deities on Gaur Punim Day. And they did huge amount. They did a lot of Sankirtan, offering of garlands to Janava Devi and to the devotees. And at that time, Srinivas had come. He'd recovered the scriptures. Shyamananda also was with them. And they chanted, they sang. And then the following day, the installation ceremonies on Gopunim Day began with the devotees singing glories of holy name. They did Abhishek to the 6 deities, which are Shri Gauranga, Vallabhi Kanta, Shri Krishna, Shri Vrajendra Mohan, Shri Radha Raman, and Shri Radha Kant. And they bathed the deities, and so many people came. Devotees sung. They had professional devotees singers, and it must have been a most ecstatic time. So this is, what is this one? Let's have a look at this. In Gopalpur lived a Brahmin named Vipradas, whom Narottama met. Vipradas had a rice paddy store where a terrifying snake lived. Out of fear of the snake, he didn't dare go inside that storehouse. Vipradas told Narottama of his fear. Hearing this, Narottama smiled a little bit. He said, "Think nothing of it." And when Narottama opened the door to the storehouse, the snake vanished. When Narottama came out of the storehouse, it could be seen that he had with him the deities of Gaura Sundar on his lap. Everyone saw a great miracle out of the storehouse. Narottama Das Thakur emerged holding Gauranga. Anyway, so much prasad, bhoga was offered to the deities, sweet rice, and so many dishes. And Aarti was performed, after which the devotees would distribute so many gifts and sandalwood and garlands to the devotees present. And they did kirtan. The Narottama Das Thakur, he would sing with the sweetest tune and unique style. It was something which was absolutely incredible. Very, very sweet kirtan. And in that kirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself appeared within the crowd of the devotees through divine manifestation. And it said that Narottam began to sing very moving kirtan and was the first exponent of Garanhati tradition of kirtan. In his kirtans, he employed the most sophisticated style of rhythms, tal, melodic formats, rag, gestures of emotional expression, abhinaya, and developed dancing techniques, natyam. And this is actually all explained in one of the scriptures, Bhakti Ratnakar. So, and he inaugurated a kirtan known as Padavali. In fact, his book is called also Padavali. So we've been reading, been singing from those, that particular book. Oh, Karuna has been. So really absolutely amazing. After the kirtan, Janava Mata, she offered the deities some red powder, which is usually thrown at the time of Holi. But it was such an amazing festival. She threw these powders on everybody, and everybody was covered with this red Sindhu powder. And when twilight began, the bathing ceremony began, and it was conducted by Srinivas Acharya as the devotees sang the Abhishek song for Mahaprabhu appearance ceremony and celebration. Festival lasted for 3 blissful days, and during those days, the devotees were fed sumptuously. After which, the guests, after the 3 days, the guests reluctantly left. So this is considered to be one of the most important milestones, this festival, because it establishes Gaur Purnima, and it was such a huge event. The disciples of Nityananda, Chaitanya, and Advaita was participated. The lords themselves participated. Different types of kirtans started. So many Vaishnavas were there. So very unique event, celebrated event at Turi's festival. So now Narottam was born in like a Kshatriya family, Kashayata Shudra, and he wasn't born in a Brahminical family, but he was a great devotee. So a great devotee is more qualified than a Brahminical devotee, a Brahminical personality. So one king got very envious. In fact, he was wound up by the Orthodox Brahmin community. How can Narottam, who is a low-born person, take sannyas, accept disciples, preach about Krishna, and all sorts of things? So the king, he got wound up by these people, and he wrote to Narottam saying, how is it that a genuine sadhu could violate the injunctions of scriptures by doing all this? And Narottam was very clear. There's nothing in the scriptures which stops what he's doing. Happy to do a public debate to prove that he's doing things on the basis of scripture. So at that time, what happened? They decided to do a debate, but whilst there were kings, entourage was traveling to Narottam's place, they stopped at a certain shop. Now, at that shop were 2 disciples of Narottam, Ganga Narayan Chakravarti and Ramachandra Kaviraj. Now, these were really smart personalities. They pretended to be shopkeepers, but they were actually Brahmin disciples. And they started debating with each other in front of these king's men and the scholars and all of the others. And it was such a wonderful debate because these shopkeepers, so-called shopkeepers, spoke in perfect Sanskrit and only what learned men can speak. And they were all thinking, wait a minute, if the shopkeeper is like this, what must Narottama Das Thakur be like? And these two shopkeepers, Ganga Narayan and Ramachandra, so-called shopkeepers, defeated these king's scholars. So they were so shocked by what they experienced. They didn't enter into any debate with Narottama Das Thakur. And in fact, there was a dream that the king had where Durga Devi told him that you have committed a great offense at the lotus feet of Narottama Das Thakur. Go and take shelter of him and become his disciple. And that's exactly what the king did, together with the scholars and the others who were with him. They all went to Narottama Das Thakur, asked for forgiveness, and became his disciples. Unlike Srinivas and Shyamananda, once Narottam left Vrindavan, he never returned. He spent his years in the vicinity of Keturigram, cultivating devotees. Govinda Kaviraj described Narottam as the great king of Prem, and Ramachandra is Narottam's minister. So Ramachandra Kaviraj is very famous. We sing many songs which he has sung as well, especially Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Prabhu. He sang that. I think he did. Oh, was it the other one? Bajahure Mana, I think he was also. Anyway, his works, he's sung 33 Bengali songs, divided into 258 verses, arranged in 55 sections. And I think Karuna has sang all of those songs. And they gave so much spiritual guidance. These songs are just amazing. Another book which has been sung, Narottam's Prema Bhakti Chandrika. Loads of poems in there. And again, we've been fortunate to hear these amazing bhajans from this wonderful, wonderful devotee. Second to none, actually. Prabhupada was also fond of singing Narottam's poetry and quoted him in his lectures. And he serves Srimati Radhika as Vilas Manjari. So he's a very close associate of the divine couple. His samadhi is in the Radha Gokulananda temple courtyard, which we actually visited very recently. Very, very sweet samadhi. He's there with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lokanath Goswami, so many others. And this temple is in Vrindavan and very close to Radha Raman temple. Very, very nice, sweet temple. So I wanted to stop there. Any questions, any comments? So this is Narottama Das Thakur, very, very amazing, sweet devotee, and we can really beg for his mercy to attain love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he has it. He has it. So we can ask him, please allow us to become close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, Narottama Das Thakur ki jai.